You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Right now at 7, Pittsburgh area young professionals hosted an event aimed at connecting local area professionals. Plus, Joplin residents had the opportunity to share their thoughts on a project that's aiming to widen West 20th Street. And it's another foggy start out there. Some of us a little denser than others. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I am Chris Warner. It is just after 7 a.m. on this finally Friday here in the 4 states, and it's another foggy Friday in the 4 states as well. We've been dealing with that the last 4 days now, but hopefully it's going to be the last bit of fog that we have to contend with. Let's take a quick, no, I'm skipping ahead. I'm getting into the wrong thing. We'll look at your forecast here in just a moment, but first, Pittsburgh hosted an event to connect local professionals. Pittsburgh area young professionals kickoff was an opportunity for people to network, make friends, and meet the organization's board members. The gathering also discussed the group's plans for the year. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
About 1 year ago, Lauren Baldwin was looking for volunteering opportunities.
One of the first volunteer opportunities I was a part of was the cleanup day. We just got to go around and make Pittsburgh a little bit more beautiful, clean up and give back to the earth, which is always nice.
But when she joined Pittsburgh area young professionals, PAYP, she found more than she was looking for.
You get to network with people that are like-minded in the Pittsburgh community.
Besides the fact of just connections itself, which is huge, I think it allows them to have that avenue to build a little confidence, feeling involved, you know, like in your community and stuff. Like I feel like it gives you that little nudge, you know, and just making you feel like you're home.
The feeling of belonging and networking is shared with the organization's president, Renato Pinto.
It's a good outlet. I think there's a lot of professionals, whether young or older, that just kind of go to work from 8 to 5 and go home, and that's kind of it for their day. This is a good opportunity for you to kind of get out of your shell, meet new people, see what they do for a living, and maybe have same interests.
Pittsburgh area young professionals is open to people between the ages of 21 and 55. The organization's goal is to support and give back to the community.
We've done things from serving for the Lord's Diner on their food truck. We've helped with NCAA track and field tournaments. We help out with some childcare through Fostering Connections.
Now they're looking ahead. On their kickoff event for 2024, Pinto shared some of the organization's excitement for the year.
One of the big ones that we're working on is a leadership luncheon series, because these are people that you typically may not find yourself in that same setting or environment, and that way you can get to know those kind of characters.
In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
PAYP's next event is the Lunch and Learn next Tuesday to discuss the Special Olympics in Kansas. And as mentioned, we're continuing to deal with fog across the area. Taking a live look. This is our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. And you can see there's still some light fog out there, so reduced visibilities, but not significantly so, at least not in the Joplin area. MoDOT cameras, again, you can see reduced visibilities, but not quite like what we've seen the last couple of days. However, there are areas, even where, say, Joplin's reporting about 5 miles of visibility right now, you don't have to go too terribly far to run into areas with denser fog. Now, some of that, of course, is water-related, bridges over rivers, nearby bodies of water. There's also valleys and such that are taken into account, and there's some other factors out there, because I've run into some places where there's nothing around other than open field, but the fog gets a little denser. All right, taking a look, Skywatch Storm Tracker. This is our next system, getting ready to bring us some rain and some snow as we head into Saturday. We'll talk about that a little more in just a moment. We got some patchy fog out there, but again, it's not as bad as what we've seen. However, we still do have dense fog advisories from Missouri and Kansas, and these will run until noon. We are sitting at 39 in Joplin and 38 in Pittsburgh right now, and again, with some patchy fog out there. There we go. These have been taking a minute the last couple of days to pop up. We go through today, cloudy skies, some patchy fog, some patchy drizzle will be possible out there. Temperatures will be into the mid, even upper 40s across the area. And then, then as I mentioned, we have the rain and we have the potential for some snow heading into Saturday. We'll talk about all that in the full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Authorities in Cedar County say the human remains discovered in a brush pile last week are that of a Joplin woman. The Cedar County Sheriff says the remains were identified as 27-year-old Shania Haynes. Her body was found last week in a brush pile. Full autopsy will be used to determine the cause of death, and 3 men have been arrested and charged in this case. Bradley Keith of El Dorado Springs, Brandon Choate of Lamar, and Jimmy Cole of Stockton are all charged with tampering with physical evidence and abandonment of a corpse. The Kansas Highway Patrol is investigating a wreck involving a Columbus school bus and a truck in Cherokee County. It happened near the intersection of Highway 400 and Highway 7. According to a spokesperson for the school, the bus did have students on board. Authorities say there were some injuries reported, but none of those are life-threatening. The city of Galena is clarifying when its school crossing lights are supposed to run. Officials say they've received complaints about the lights running at odd hours. However, officials say that's not a malfunction. Galena Mayor Ashley Qualls-Groves says they are set automatically and will also run during after-school programs throughout the year.
But the school hosts after school programs that goes roughly till 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening. They have a lot of kids that stay for that. So we bus and we transport, and then parents come and pick up. And the school, in conjunction with the city, came up with the idea to also incorporate that time, because we have kids that walk, or, again, lots of kids that are transported various ways. So that time every evening, Monday through Friday, is still considered part of it.
The school crossing light in question is the one located on 7th Street. City of Joplin yesterday held a public meeting to discuss a project to widen West 20th Street. There's a chance for residents in that area to give their input on the project and how they'd like to see it designed. Officials say the project is needed for the community.
Will this cause delays? Will there be street closures? And we see this project as being tremendously similar to 32nd Street as far as closures will be concerned. Whenever we get to the point where we bid the project out and have a contractor, we will set a schedule. We will look at phasing. We will look at the times that it will be closed.
Project is being paid for by sales tax approved by voters in 2014. Groundbreaking is scheduled for early 2025. Corona, Kansas has brought one of its most memory-filled buildings back to life. The K Purito, which originally opened back in 1934, has recently been remodeled and restored to its former glory. Current owner John Parsons told us about how he remembers hearing stories as a little boy about how the Purito would be filled with hundreds of people every night.
It's been unbelievable, the people that's called and asked about it and talked about it and sent us stuff, and it was all because of coal mining. That's the only reason the little town was here. That's my grandmother, she taught at the school here in the 20s, and my children are the 7th generation within just a couple miles.
The Purito will be open to the public today. Those interested will be able to purchase food and listen to a live band. Some kids in McDonald County yesterday got to speak with a published author. It's part of Anderson Elementary School's One Book, One School reading program. This year, students read Mindful Mr. Sloth by best-selling author Katie Hudson. Yesterday, they got to meet Hudson virtually from her home in London.
In the past, we've had some that just we knew we were going to do that one. We really try to think of books that kindergarten through 5th grade would enjoy. This year, though, we were looking for that kind of specific lesson to share with our students.
Students were able to submit questions for Hudson ahead of time that she answered. Well, coming up next, Josh Novak is with us this morning to share more about the upcoming ArtCon taking place in Neosho. And later, a man in Indiana finds himself needing a new kidney, and he didn't have to look very far. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14.
Indigo Sky Casino is the place to be in February.
Convenience. Buy your dream home with the convenience of the Arvest Home for Me app. Goodbye limits, hello possibilities.
Well, the Neosho Arts Council ArtCon is set to take place in February. Josh Novak one of the organizers of the events, is with us today to share more about how you can enjoy this year's festivities. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. So, ArtCon in Neosho. This is not the first time this has happened. This is something that you guys have established. It seems to be growing. So tell me a little bit about what this is and what people can expect.
Yeah, so ArtCon is like, any Comic-Con convention, but it's just our version of it. It is an all-day event from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Neosho Junior High. It is a $5 entry fee per person, which is quite reasonable for all the things we have included. We have over 90 different vendors. We have special guests. One of our special guests is Isaac Singleton. He is an actor, voice actor. He's worked in some of your favorite films, franchises, series, in both in video games and in film, some of which are Mandalorian, Deadpool. He was Bo's son in Pirates of the Caribbean, so he is also going to be signing autographs and taking photos. Those do have a fee, but it's really a fantastic opportunity to meet, a famous actor. And if you're interested in acting, there's a great panel that he's going to be doing later on in the afternoon, so that is something to attend as well. We have our vendor alley, which we just figured out that we have over 90 different vendors and booths to attend. Those are like the comic book collections. It could be nostalgic things from your favorite franchises and things like that. But also it can just be, maybe you're a maker, you like to draw, you like to paint, and these artists are right there with you, and so you can kind of look at an individual that has a professional career in that. Other things we have available are we have Kevin Mellon, who is the director of Hit Monkey, which is on I believe Hulu or Netflix, and he's directing the second season of that. He will also be talking about a panel and showing his portfolio. Additionally, we have a cosplay competition that has cash prizes. We have a series of judges. We have cosplay groups attending, some of which are regional and some of which are local. We have Dungeons and Dragons competitions. We have board games. There's an esports competition, all of which have prizes of sorts, some cash prizes, others are gifts and takeaways. Really, this is just a big family-friendly event. It is just riddled with things to do throughout the day, so if you need to take a break, we have food trucks available. Unfortunately, there are no ATMs out there, so if you want to run with cash, please bring some beforehand. And what I would really highly encourage is I would go to our website, neoshoarts.net, and purchase the tickets online, or scan the QR code on our all of our posters have the QR code. That will allow you to have your digital ticket, so you could just show it to the people up front, get your ticket, and go enjoy the festivities.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. Lots of fun going on. Yeah. Great to have something like this here at the local level. Yeah. Looking forward to it. And of course, if you missed any of that, don't worry. We'll have all this information on our website as well at koamnewsnow.com. Josh, again, thanks so much for joining us here. And we will be back with a check of your forecast right after this.
The NFC Championship, Sunday at 6 Eastern on Fox.
News. It is now 7:17, just a few seconds away from seeing this switch over to 7:18 on this cloudy, drizzly, and somewhat foggy Friday morning out there. Our camera on the Cornell Complex showing all of that. MoDOT cameras around the metro area. As you can see, fog around Joplin this morning hasn't been as dense as what we've seen the last few days, but there are still dense spots out there across the region, so you still need to slow down, give yourself time to get where you're going. KDOT camera, again, off in the distance you can see the fog, but it's not overly dense. But as mentioned, you can still run into those areas that suddenly the visibility drops to zero. Sometimes those areas are obvious. They're bridges over waterways or when there's a body of water nearby. Some locations, like I ran into on 249 this morning, not so obvious, so just watch out for those spots. Fog tracker around the area, Stockton, Nevada, still reporting about 1.5 miles of visibility, some of the lowest out there, but we still have that patchy fog across the region. Still have dense fog advisories for Kansas and Missouri until noon today. Skywatch Storm tracker, other than fog and clouds, is clear locally. Our next system in the panhandles of Texas and Oklahoma is starting to roll up this way, and by late tonight into tomorrow, it's going to start to bring us opportunities for rain and potentially some snow. We'll talk about that in just a second. 39 in Joplin, east-northeast breeze at 3, feels like 39, and you can see an ambulance and how that fog looks from a little higher out there. Temperatures around the region, again, not too terribly bad. We are sitting a little colder in Lamar, sitting at 31, 33 in Fort Scott. The rest of us otherwise mid-upper 30s across the area. As we go through, again, today we're going to be cloudy. We'll still have some patchy fog this afternoon, but we're not anticipating anything significant with that, and some patchy drizzle. It won't be until much later this evening, and we're going to see the rain start to roll into the area, and as we head toward tomorrow morning, we could see that transition to some snow, and this could be a heavy, wet snow, so we're expecting the possibility of accumulations on grassy surfaces, but not so much on the roads. We've been a little too warm, a little too damp here lately for that to be an issue. Still could lead to slick spots, but the other concern with the snow is with it being a potential for a heavy wet snow at times could lead to reduced visibility, so do be careful if you're traveling Saturday through about, say, 2 o'clock, and then that'll start to clear out. Fog through the morning, low 40s by late morning. Cloudy, patchy fog, drizzle through the afternoon. Temperatures into the mid to upper 40s. Rain moves in again late tonight, initially through the low 40s, and will eventually fall back right around the mid 30s out there. Highs tomorrow are looking to be low 40s, a little cool on Sunday, but better, upper 40s, and as we head into next week, it's like heading into a March. As we go upper 50s, low 60s, sunshine Monday through Thursday of next week. So much better weather, maybe some vacation weather out there here in just a few more days. Well, coming up, a free tax service is opening up again in Joplin. We'll have details on how they can help you.
Special Olympic athletes in Kansas. Register now and help the Pittsburgh Polar Plunge reach their goal of 32,000.
Well, one Indiana man has a second chance at life thanks to an organ donor. Turns out his perfect match was right in front of him the whole time. Alex Null explains.
Inside the Reed's home in New Haven, it's clear that family is important.
So our whole life's been here and raised our kids here, and family's still all around us, which is really great.
Paige was born and raised in New Haven, not too far from Mike's hometown of Decatur. The two never left the area, and they say it's something their kids even notice.
We'd go to the grocery store and they were always like, you know everybody in this town, and I would say, yeah, I do. Like, remember that because it comes in handy.
Mike and Paige are very active, love spending time outside, and playing with their 5 grandkids. But in 2021, Mike began losing energy.
Just started slowing down, a little more tired, come home from work, take a little nap on the couch, and that's just not me.
In November of that year, Mike learned he was in stage 4 kidney failure, a diagnosis that rocked them both.
I almost went through like a mourning period for the next month or so and thinking like this is the end.
Mike began dialysis immediately and was put on the wait list for a transplant. During that wait, his body deteriorated.
To mow the yard was a struggle.
A year after his diagnosis, they found a match. That match? The person he had been married to for nearly a decade.
It's still like unreal that it worked, and there hasn't been any kind of complications to speak of.
Dr. Islam Ghonim was Mike's transplant nephrologist at Ascension St. Vincent Hospital. He says most people wait about 4 years for a match, adding the chances of Paige being a near-perfect match was rare. But Mike's case, he says, was special.
Sometimes a match, even an organ match, may be something that's made in heaven. And in this case, it truly was.
In March 2023, the transplant was successful, and Mike went back to doing the things he loves. He and Paige say they feel incredibly blessed and add their story shows how life-saving organ donation can be.
Sometimes people just donate and they don't know. I think for me as the donor, it's been amazing because from day one I can see just the impact it's made on his life.
Well, if you're interested in becoming a living donor, you can go online at donatelifeks.com. Certainly an incredible story, and it's just wild. His perfect match right there with him the whole time. Like the story said, a match made in heaven. Well, coming up, Freeman hosted a fitness fair for its employees yesterday. We'll have details on why they feel even you should focus on your health. Plus, it's another foggy, drizzly, dreary-looking day out there, but nicer weather on the way. We'll talk about your forecast coming up.
Where style meets comfort. Latest arrivals of furniture and decor curated to add charm and style to your space. Come shop with us at Miss Daisy's Home and Decor and give your home the makeover it deserves.
You're watching the 4 States Most Watched News.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It is now 7:29 on the dot. I'm Chris Warner. A popular tax service has reopened this year in Joplin. The Volunteer Income Tax Assistance Program, also known as VITA, provides tax services for anyone making less than $65,000 a year. There are sites across the United States. Last year, the Joplin location helped prepare more than 4,000 returns for local taxpayers.
It's important because, especially for low to moderate income taxpayers, it provides a relief so they're not paying for their tax service. We provide this as a free service, as a community benefit for people that cannot really afford tax services, professional tax services.
VITA tax locations across the 4 states can be found at irs.gov. Well, Freeman Health System President and CEO Paula Baker is retiring. Baker has served in the role for 13 years. Before that, she was the CEO of Freeman's Ozark Center and helped with the creation of the Bill and Virginia Leffen Center for Autism. She won't officially retire until next year, and in that time, Freeman will search for her replacement. And Freeman Health System yesterday hosted a fitness fair for its employees. 25 vendors stopped by Freeman Hospital West to help employees learn about health benefits and fitness services. Officials say it's important that they focus not only on the health and well-being of patients, but also the people that keep their facilities running.
The best health and wellness resources in the area. A lot of people are really motivated at the first of the year. And the other reason is because they're so important to us, to the health system, and patient caregivers often don't take care of themselves. So we want them to come out, see some things they can do to make sure they're in their best shape for themselves.
The health system has more than 4,500 employees. Plans for the country's tallest building are in the works. The boardwalk at Bricktown Tower is expected to be built in Oklahoma City. The structure is designed with 3 towers reaching more than 300 feet in the air, while the 4th is planned to take on the massive feat of becoming the nation's tallest building at 1,907 feet tall. The project is currently awaiting approval. And the Kansas Department of Health and Environment has issued a boil advisory in the city of Coffeyville and the rural water districts of Labette and Montgomery counties. The advisory takes effect today until the issue can be resolved. High levels of turbidity have been detected, which could lead to bacterial contamination. Now remember, in a boil advisory, you need to boil water for 1 minute before drinking or preparing food. You don't want to drink the food, I apologize, before drinking the water or using it to prepare food. Do not use ice from an automatic ice maker. Flush your water if it appears to be dirty. Bless you, Shannon. And disinfect dishes and any other food contact surfaces and clean tap water with 1 teaspoon of unscented household bleach per 1 gallon of water. And you need to supervise children during bath time to make sure that they do not drink any of the bath water. We also have a scheduling update for all of you for our programming tonight. Now, due to golf on the KOAM side, the KOAM News at 5 and 6 will not run tonight. However, we're going to bring you a look at the latest headlines and forecasts on the free KOAM Plus app, or you can also find it on our website, KOAMNewsNow.com. And then at 6:30, you can watch the Oklahoma City Thunder take on the New Orleans Pelicans on Channel 7. You can join us after the game over on KOAM for the KOAM News at 10. And we've got those foggy conditions to contend with. MoDOT cameras around the metro area showing some of that patchy fog, clouds around the area as well, and off to our southwest, rain getting ready to roll into the area, but it will not arrive here until late tonight. Fog around the area. Fog trackers showing denser fog still out in our far western counties. However, we still have patchy fog across the area and still have dense fog advisories for Kansas and Missouri, both running until noon today. In Joplin right now, it is 39 degrees, and in Pittsburgh, we're currently sitting at 37. You can see slightly reduced visibilities in Joplin and looking okay on the Kansas side there south of Pittsburgh. And of course, we're getting some patchy drizzle out there as well. Going through the day, patchy fog will be possible even into the afternoon, but nothing like what we've seen here lately. On top of that, some patchy drizzle as well. Otherwise, cloudy skies and temperatures into the mid to upper 40s for our highs. Again, rain returns tonight and maybe even some snow on Saturday. We'll have a full look at that forecast here in just a few more minutes. And that's a look at our top stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Shannon Becker is here with his big 3 stories of the week, including that wild ride. We'll be right back.
From the moment you call until you walk through our doors.
Medical and dental care in the region.
Quality, compassionate.
Quality, compassionate, affordable care.
Welcome back. Shannon Becker back in the studio. This big 3 news stories of the week. Shannon, welcome back.
All
You know,
right.
we've mentioned more than once, you and I go way back.
Yes.
I mean, way back.
I was just talking about playing wiffle ball at my house with your brother.
Yeah. Back
that
in
was
the
that was the
back in
thing
day.
back in the day.
He used to tell me about those
Yeah.
old stories. And I think there's
Good
some old
times.
photos in our family albums where you would come and visit and hang out with him.
There
sometime.
better be.
There should be. Well, you got big stories for us.
Let's take a look at the big 3 this week. Number 3, KOAM News Now. What's live and local? It was the 500 block of Walker, Webb City. Look at those icicles forming the bottom of that fire truck. They'd only been there just a few minutes. They knocked down the fire quickly. There's a firefighter there slipping on the ice. But no one was home, thank goodness, at this house. It seems to be a total loss. They did lose a couple of pets. A dog and a family bird died. Joplin, Oronogo, other departments, Carl Junction assisted with this house fire. When those temperatures get in the single digits and under, the wind chill goes under 0, very, very dangerous for firefighters.
Oh, absolutely.
Just even slipping and falling. I mean, that's
with all
very
that
dangerous.
equipment, that makes it even more hazardous.
Number 2, KOAM News Now. Speaking of slick, look at that. 56,000 pounds go spinning down the road in Imperial, Missouri. That's right along the Mississippi. No one was injured. Amazingly, they were responding to a minor traffic crash that had occurred that happened just about like that. The lady on the phone, I talked to her, the one that actually recorded that, I talked to her on Tuesday, and she said, well, I told them to, watch out, go slow, but sometimes that doesn't get, conveyed through.
Oh, yeah.
You got 911, you got dispatch, you got three people deep there. But our number 1 story, a little more lighthearted. Wingstop is coming to Joplin, and they're looking for a district manager, general manager, co-manager. 1421 South Range Line. There's a peek inside. There's your first look at the Wingstop. I have an idea. A lot of people are probably going to be doing some DoorDash or delivery, pickup, all that. They say that's fantastic. They are taking applications. We've got those links on our website. They say the ranch is amazing. Have you had their ranch?
I don't like ranch, but again, Amber loves
yeah.
it. She's been to the one in Springfield. She loves it. She's super excited that they're getting ready to open down here.
I like those wings with no bones. So I don't know.
I'm a
I don't
boneless
know.
wings
Are those
guy,
really
too.
wings? I'm not sure. But anyway.
They're good enough.
It's coming on an unknown date because they're still looking for people to work there. So check it out on our news tab. This is our bonus story of the week. A young family lost everything in a house fire. This is early Thursday morning video from the homeowner there. It was her fiance, and their 2 small children got out safely. So it looks like it was a bad fire, but when you look inside, the devastation is just shocking to me, really.
Yeah.
They've lost everything. They're even asking for diapers. More information on that Arma, Kansas house fire you can find on our news tab, KOAM News Now. That's our bonus story of the week.
All right. And of course, as we mentioned before, too, the 4 state's always great at rallying behind folks, and I'm sure they'll rally behind them as well.
They've got a couple of links on there if you want to do a donation. Just go to our story, and it's all right there for you.
All right, Shannon, thanks so much for coming in, and we will be back with more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Hello, appreciate it.
And welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 7:41 now on this finally Friday. Fog, it's thickening up a bit, as you can see on our camera from the Cornell complex in downtown Joplin. And that's part of why we still have those dense fog advisories. Some folks may have been starting their day earlier in the city. And if you're only commuting in the city, you may have been going, well, what's the dense fog advisory about? Well, it's because it's going to thicken up in some locations, which it is beginning to do. And you can see that also on the MoDOT cameras around the area, especially 32nd and Rangeline. Looking back south, it's a little thicker there. Same on 20th and Rangeline as well. Here in a second when the KDOT camera loads, there, see, it was a second. You can see that fog out there. Still not terrible there south of Pittsburgh, but you've got to watch out. And of course, watch out, if you're on bridges, near bodies of water, those are key points for denser fog, but you can also run into valleys and things like that as well. There may not be a body of water nearby, but you dip down into a valley and you can run into some pretty dense fog as well. As you can see, visibility is beginning to fall in areas where they weren't too bad earlier, and dense fog advisories continue in Kansas and Oklahoma until noon today. Skywatch Storm Tracker, other than clouds and fog here, is clear, and we are looking at this. This is our next system, the showers that are going to be rolling up here as we go late evening tonight and into the overnight hours. Another view of that fog from 7th and Rangeline, our camera there. It's 39 in Joplin, east-northeast breeze at 3, making it feel like 39. Visibility now down to 4 miles from 5 earlier. Temperatures not too shabby. Fort Scott, Lamar, still a little cooler in the low 30s, but the rest of us are now into the mid to upper 30s out there, and we will eventually warm a little more as we go through the day. Cloudy skies, the majority of the fog burns off this afternoon, but some patchy fog, patchy drizzle still possible through the day. And then as we head late tonight, as we're going to see those showers start to roll in, and then we could see some snow out there, and it could be a heavy wet snow. So here's the concerns we have as we go through Saturday and into the early afternoon. So by about 2 o'clock, the last of this exiting out of here. Heavy wet snow could reduce visibilities as it falls, could definitely lead to slick spots on roadways. Now the good news from all this is we've been too warm, too wet lately. It's not expected to really stick to the roads or to the sidewalks, but it could stick to grassy surfaces out there. So if you want to play around a little in the snow on the grass, that's going to be your best opportunity. But again, slick spots still possible on roadways, sidewalks, so you got to slow down if you're traveling this Saturday. Fog through the morning, low 40s, cloudy skies, patchy fog, drizzle through the afternoon. We're going to go mid-upper 40s across the area, maybe even a couple of low 50s out there. Tonight, showers move back in, and we will eventually get a little chillier. We're going to fall back into the mid-30s. Tomorrow, we are looking at the low 40s with the rain and possible snow mix out there. A little warmer on Sunday, but take a look as we head into next week. Wow, it's almost like March. We're going to go into the upper 50s and low 60s as we head into next week. Sunny skies Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Few clouds Thursday, maybe some showers by next weekend. Let's check your forecast. In Consumer Watch this morning, Tesla shares plunged as much as 11% after the market opened on Thursday. $73 billion of the company's market value was wiped out hours after the company warned of slowing growth in electric car sales and existential threat from Chinese rivals. During an earnings presentation Wednesday, the world's most valuable automaker said its sales growth this year, quote, may be notably lower than last year. The drop comes as Tesla continues developing the next generation vehicle, likely a lower priced model. A smart doorbell company is taking away police requests for its users' camera footage. Ring, which is owned by Amazon, says it will end its request for assistance tool. The tool will allow police departments and public safety agencies to request doorbell camera footage from Ring's Neighbors app. Police will still be able to use the Neighbors app to share safety information. Ring did not say why the change is being made. Law enforcement can still access the video through a search warrant. And despite consumer and business spending driving economic growth to close out 2023, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says it's still too hard to be a working parent in America. In her speech in Chicago, she outlined ways she hopes the federal economic policy can help. But millions of Americans are looking for relief right now. Karen Kafa is in Washington with a look at key pressure points.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen in Chicago Thursday addressing a topic that hits home for millions of Americans.
It's still too hard to be a working parent.
The speech, an effort to highlight administration economic policy as President Joe Biden campaigns for a second term. But polls show American voters are skeptical about Biden's handling of the economy, despite cooling inflation and a resilient job market. Families in particular feeling the pressures of a challenging housing market and child care costs that have increased with demand and shorter post-pandemic supply.
Childcare is exceedingly expensive right now in this country, and that makes it difficult for families to work.
Wendy Edelberg of the Brookings Institution says the child care system suffers from underinvestment, from training to retaining workers.
There's a lot of turnover in the system. It is difficult for a child care facility to maintain stable, high-quality child care in the face of all of these pressures.
Meanwhile, a tight housing market continues to vex homebuyers, but especially families. Edelberg says relief is less about the strength of the economy and more about the policies within it.
There's a lot that we should be doing to make it easier both to work and to raise children, and to make it more worthwhile to work.
The Commerce Department said Thursday that consumers continued to spend in the last 3 months of 2023, with economic growth rising at an annualized rate of 3.3%. In Washington, I'm Karen Kafa.
That's a look at Consumer Watch. Now we're going to take a look at the market prices before the opening bell.
Dow Quick, and I'm inviting you on a holiday vacation.
Lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org.
Well, birthdays are supposed to be joyous occasions, but that wasn't the case for a 4-year-old in Ohio. 2 city officers decided to take action to help bring him some cheer. Taylor Robinson shares how the 2 officers went above and beyond.
This is just one of those type of crimes that really just makes you raise an eyebrow.
It was here at the trampoline park that birthday gifts for a 4-year-old little boy were stolen. And Officer Drew Olinger,
Honestly, it's a great opportunity for us to actually do something to actually make a difference.
decided to go above the badge.
I went to the local Walgreens and just found every Paw Patrol thing I could find. I was so excited.
He called Officer Joe Sanchez and told him about the plan to surprise that 4-year-old with new birthday gifts.
I thought that was the greatest idea ever.
As they were walking up to the little boy's front door,
I was only thinking about the smile that's going to be on his face.
which is the exact reaction they got.
Just seeing his smile and seeing the look in his eyes when we brought him the gifts, I mean, he was just ecstatic.
Both Heber Heights natives say this is what policing should be about.
But these are the type of things that, a lot of officers when I was younger and growing up, they inspired me to be where I am today. And there are things that we can do when they're young that will stick with them as they get older.
Creating a core memory for not only that little boy and his mom, but themselves as well.
I'll definitely remember this. Like I said, we don't typically do this on a regular basis, and we don't really get the chance to. So finally having that opportunity to bring joy and happiness to a child, I think it's well worth it.
I'm certainly glad they were able to make a difference in that young man's life and ensure that he still got to enjoy his 4th birthday. Well, we are enjoying another round of fog out there. See, take a look. Cornell camera, downtown Joplin. We've had light fog on there all morning, but look at how it's thickening up this morning. That's why we have those dense fog advisories. That's why you've got to slow down, take it easy, watch where you're going out there, because you could run into those patchy areas of denser fog, and it's really starting to thicken up on some of the metro cams from MoDOT out there. Skywatch Storm Tracker, we have some clouds. We are watching this next system. This is our rain and potential snow as we head into Saturday. As again, with Saturday, the good news with this snow is we're not expecting any significant accumulations on roadways and things like that, but the snow could stick to grassy surfaces. The flip side of that, though, is it could be a heavy wet snow, which means it could reduce visibilities as it falls at times on Saturday, and it could also lead to some slick spots on area roadways. Visibilities around the area, Fort Scott looking pretty good compared to everyone else, but we still have those reduced visibilities. We still have dense fog advisories out there across Missouri and Kansas, and these are running until noon today. So we've got to keep an eye on that. Watch out for that patchy fog. 39 in Joplin, 37 in Pittsburgh. Again, fog thickening up on the Joplin side there. We're going to have another look at your forecast as well as the news you need to know when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Hi, I'm Wade with Wade's RV, and I wanted to invite you to come.
Now to salute Sean Lynn, a 4-state hero.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Authorities in Cedar County say the human remains discovered in a brush pile last week are that of a Joplin woman. Cedar County Sheriff says the remains were identified as 27-year-old Shania Haynes. Her body was found last week in a brush pile. Full autopsy will be used to determine the cause of death, and 3 men have been arrested and charged in this case. Bradley Keith of El Dorado Springs, Brandon Choate of Lamar, and Jimmy Cole of Stockton are all charged with tampering with physical evidence and abandonment of a corpse. City of Joplin yesterday held a public meeting to discuss a project to widen West 20th Street. It was a chance for residents in that area to give their input on the project and how they would like to see it designed. Officials say the project is needed for the community. The project is being paid for by a sales tax approved by voters in 2014. Groundbreaking expected by early next year. And Pittsburgh hosted an event to connect local professionals. Pittsburgh Area Young Professionals Kickoff was an opportunity for people to network, make friends, and meet the organization's board members. The gathering also discussed the group's plans for the year. Pittsburgh Area Young Professionals is open to people between the ages of 21 and 55. Currently, the organization has around 100 members. PAYP's next event is the Lunch and Learn next Tuesday to discuss the Special Olympics in Kansas. And we've got ourselves cloudy skies, dense fog out there this morning, dense fog advisories through noon. We could have some patchy fog, patchy drizzle, but not like we've seen the last couple of days this afternoon as we go into the mid to upper 40s. We're going to fall back through the low 40s through the evening. Rain returns as we go late evening, overnight, and we'll get a little colder, dropping back into the mid 30s. Could see again that light rain snow mix tomorrow, and we could have a heavy wet snow at times. It could reduce visibilities, cause slick spots, but no major accumulations expected. That clears out by the afternoon. And as we head into next week, boy, it turns into March in a hurry. Sunny skies, temperatures upper 50s and low 60s. Well, hundreds of drones lit up Madrid's sky drawing figures of iconic tourist destinations. Places like the Taj Mahal and the Eiffel Tower were seen as the Fitur International Tourism Fair that kicked off in Madrid on Wednesday. The annual tourism fair this year takes place from January 24th to the 28th. The light show was organized by hotel chain Circotel to celebrate its 30th anniversary. All right, and it is incredible what they are able to do with drones these days. They're getting them where they put on fireworks shows now. Absolutely fascinating. Well, that's going to do it for us for the morning show now. We really want to thank you so much for joining us today and letting us put the good in your morning. We're going to be back with more news and weather today at noon. Have a fantastic morning and a great rest of your day.